Okay, Usha, please introduce yourself and tell us where you're telling from, and please tell us a story.
Thank you. I'm Usha Chhabra. I'm from New Delhi, India, and I had been an educator for last 24 years, and I teach Hindi to students, you can say children and adults, India and abroad. And I'm into storytelling for last 6 years, you can say, as professional storytelling. Otherwise, I was doing it in my own school for last so many years. So today, I'm so thankful, Eric, for inviting me here, that I have listened to so many beautiful stories, and with so many, like, what to say, such lovely stories, mind blowing. So I'll just try my luck over here, you can say, how to, because I have never spoken in English, you can say, storytelling. I mostly do it in Hindi. So let's see how I go about it. I am trying my best. Let us see. Hope for the best. Just give me a second. Yeah. I am death. Everyone is afraid of me. People always talk about me. Yes, I'm always on the toes, always on my mission. It becomes sometimes too tough, you know. I know, to take away a soul from their near and dear ones. It becomes tougher when you have to take a soul from children, you know. Last few, like you can say, last week, I visited a house. It was quite dark. I left my scythe outside. I went in. I knew 4 children were waiting for me. I could feel their grandmothers. What to say? These children were frightened. They knew that I am coming. They offered me a seat at the coffee table. I sat there. They asked me, "Would you like to have a coffee?" I said, "Yes, please." And they poured the coffee in my cup. Then they glanced at each other. And then, as soon as I finished my coffee, they poured again. I was looking at their eyes. 2 of them were really scared. One of them was looking maybe angrily at me. And the youngest one, he was just looking into my eyes. Then I emptied the cup. Again, they poured the third round. I understood that because they had planned, and they thought, and they had known it, that death could only take a soul at night. So they were just waiting, let the dawn be there, and then their grandmother will be with them only. No one can take their grandmother. I could sense that. And then after that, I just put my bony hand on the cup and said, no, I don't want any more. You know, below my this inky cloth, you can see there's a heart. It is also full of love. What to do? It was choky, but I had to. And as I slowly moved, the little one cried, why do you have to take my grandmother? We love her so much. What to say to the small child? These children, it's so tough for big people. And here I have to explain this to children. Then I thought, what a wonderful way it will be if I tell a story to them. And then I started my story. I told them that there were two brothers named Grief and Sorrow. They used to live in the valley. They never looked up in the mountains. They were always gloomy, feeling sad. And then there were two girls who were in the hills. They had everything. Their name were Joy and Delight. They had everything, but still they used to miss something. Then one day, these girls came down to the valley. And then they met these two boys. They fell in love. And then Grief and Sorrow, they married. And Grief and Joy got married. And Sorrow and Delight also got married. And now they were staying happily. They were very happy. One day, the day came when they had to die. And then they passed away together because they could not stay alone. The little one nodded, Maybe they had understood my story a bit. I told them, what would be life be worth if there were no death? Who would enjoy sun if it never rained? Who would yearn for the day if there was no light, no night? And then I stood up and started moving upstairs. Casper, he just tried to just hold me. At that time, the eldest one just hold his hand and said, let him go. Let him take our grandmother. I went upstairs. I saw the lady. She was in pain. And then the windows opened. And then I said, fly, fly away, soul, fly. Children below, they just heard the sound of the windows opening. They just ran up. They stood there beside their grandmother and then cried and cried and cried. The eldest one wept their eyes. I said to them, let your tears of sadness help begin new life. Cry, heart, but never break. And When I pass through that house, I see sometimes these children standing near the window. And when the wind blows, it carries their faces. And I know they must be feeling that their grandmother has sent warm love to them. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. So it was nice to see Death as a sympathetic character.
Yes.
That Death was no villain.
No. I just wanted to personify death here
Mm-hmm.
because we always have the feeling that death is very dangerous and all.
Mm-hmm.
And we actually feel that way, that no one likes to talk about death. And like we really feel moved as soon as we listen that. But like why I chose the story, I would like to tell you, because I was just going through the stories for children, because I mostly tell it to children. And
Mm-hmm.
then there was a picture book written by Danish author Glenn Ringtved. And they had just read the story over there, like maybe in some library. And I just listened to that. And how it was so captivating. Actually, I lost my mother-in-law 2 years back.
Oh, I'm sorry.
And my children, they are quite like grown up. And I could still feel, but I feel today also that she's not there. And it's so difficult. It's so difficult to take this into account that she's not no more anymore with us. But the thing is, life has to move on. And when my father-in-law died, my the younger one was very small. At that time, it was so difficult to pacify him. And we had said so many things. But here, in the simple way, how the author has really presented, and I went through the background of the story, why he wrote. He also wrote that when his mother was dying, then the children were there, his own children, then they were also at a loss how to cope up with this. And then he wrote the story. So what I feel that death is equally important, and we can take it. Yes, everyone is mortal in this earth, and we have to accept that and move on.
Mm-hmm. I made up a story many years ago
Okay.
where the character kept asking, why do things have to die? And finally the answer was so that new things can grow, so that new things can come.
Yes, yes.
Mhm.
So maybe it is for children. Maybe you can say it was a children, but it has dealt so beautifully the concept of death, and very you can say in a friendly manner. Like
Mhm.
he was also saying that I can understand what these children are going through.
Mhm.
So he also thinks about it when he's executing his mission.
He has a conscience.
Yes, he has.
Death with a conscience.
Yes, yes.
Yes,
Why not? Let us take it that
that's
way.
right. Anybody else? Any comments, questions, Cassandra?
I really loved that. I have been a storyteller for far too long, and one of the things that makes me really cross is a lot of stories that I've heard around death are quite glib, and this had the sensitivity of, oh, excuse me, I'll cry in a minute, which is ridiculous, but it was the children trying to trick him with the coffee. And it was just the simplicity of it, I thought was really, you can tell was really moving. And I thought it was really especially done because I lived in an extended family and lost my grandfather when I was 7, was inconsolable. So I think often grandparents are the first death that many children experience, and we don't have words for them and they don't have words. And I think, so it's a beautiful a sensitive story about the children, you know, really battling with death in a very sweet, and I'm saying it moved me greatly, but I think it's lovely. Thank you for sharing that. And it's difficult, I know, by copyright to tell a written story, but it's a beautiful one, and certainly one I will try and see if it's possible. I work a lot with, sad to say, children who are seriously ill with cancer, and so sometimes the treatment's not successful. And so that is a book I think that would be useful for many of the siblings I work with. So thank you for that. That was really lovely. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much.